Hey there, it's Thursday, May 29th. Good morning. And I hurt my neck in the stupidest way. I was rushing to go to Dillard's in Tempe, and I wanted to go pick up a paycheck, I think. And I was living with a guy, boyfriend. He had a really nice brand new Corvette, blue. And, uh, and he was a shylark. Instead of a loan shark, he was a shylark because he was from New Jersey. He was a Jersey boy. And he's like, hey, don't crash my car. And I'm like, okay. And so anyway, I'm driving along. I'm going down it's not Broadmoor, but whatever that is before you get to Baseline, Dobson, I think. And the Corvette sits low, right? So it's low to the ground. And then I was in uh, there's a turn lane, 2 lanes of traffic and then a left turn lane. I wasn't in the left turn lane. I was in probably the second, row by the left turn lane. And so I'm going through an intersection right there at Dobson and it's where Fat Tuesdays is. I think it's Fat Tuesday. Red Robin. And I'm going through the intersection. I'm probably booking, 40, 45 miles an hour, which was the speed limit. It was green. And I'm going through and I didn't see a car was turning left in front of me. And they couldn't see me. And obviously it was on green, full green, to where you don't have a turn signal. And I hit her. And Corvettes are low, and I'm like, fuck, and I get it, steer it over. I land. There's an electrical box right in front of Red Robin restaurant. It's still there. It's still bent. And I landed on top of it, the front of the Corvette, and it started sparking and it started on fire. And at first I was stuck in the car and I got out. My first instinct was to go see if she was okay, who I hit. And I go running up to her car, and by then I saw people on a phone, calling 911. And she was now in the passenger seat. She didn't have her seatbelt on. And there was blood everywhere, and I was like, oh, fuck, And they're like, come on, let's help you, type of thing. I'm like, are you okay? And she was just kind of moaning. And then paramedics come. I'm so worried about this guy's car, like, oh my God, I'm gonna get in trouble. And of course I felt really bad for her. I remember my grandpa showed up. I go to the hospital. They're like, are you suffering any pain? I'm like, yeah, my neck's kind of stiffening up. It's feeling weird, like muscles it's stiffening up on me. And they're like, we should take you into the hospital for observation. Just come with us, And the car was totaled. And I went to the hospital and they gave me a neck brace. I was in so much pain for 2 weeks. I would have been better off without freezing my neck up like that. You want to move this area. And the worst headaches. And a good 2 weeks I was in major pain. And then, I don't know, it started healing. This injury started going away. And then they didn't want me talking to her or, even inquiring. The insurance companies got in right away and were helping us out. And I was told she was okay. My neck started healing. And then I meet my spouse, right, my ex-spouse, and we elope. We go to Vegas and elope, and didn't tell anybody. And after 2 weeks of knowing him, I moved in with him. I was living with someone else, not even that same guy. This is like, a couple of years later. And he was very persuasive, and so I moved in with him. He had a cat. He had a really cool apartment there at Point South Mountain. Really nice, right on the golf course. And I mean, most guys don't have a cat. I was like, this guy's pretty cool. A little blue Russian, a Russian blue. Yeah, and my ex is a Virgo like me, and so we like exotic pets. And this is a look back, when you're awake and you start looking at your astrology, you go, yeah, it's kind of like me, you realize that your life did act like that sign. I'm, I guess, on the cusp. I'm August 28th. So there's Taurus, I think, before me. Anyway, so we go to Caesar's Palace and we elope and we have a room at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. And we went there because of that movie, Honeymoon in Vegas. And it's really funny with Nick Cage and Jessica Sarah Pullman, whatever her name is, from Sex and the City. And that's a good series to watch to keep your kids away from men. You'll see Sex and the City. They're amazing when they just think of they just forge ahead with their own life, their career, and they do good work. It's when they get involved with the men that really takes them down. So keep that in mind. You don't have to have a partner to be successful. And if you know when you're awake and you start seeing signs of being awake, that someone just put a check mark in our chakra, or third eye they call it, then you don't need this bull honky of dating and being with the wrong people. You know, here I am 4 abortions later, now meeting my spouse. I knew my rights, you know, when I was growing up. I was born in 65, so I knew my rights. You could go get an abortion at Planned Parenthood. Now they have the morning after pill. They didn't have that when I was growing up. So unfortunately, you had to go get an abortion if you knew that you just didn't want to have this child with this person, or you're too young, or this and that. You know, we felt forced to. Looking back, I could have married every one of them. They're amazing people, and my parents would have got along with them. So if you have a good one, hang on to them, okay? Unfortunately, we're being criminalized for the acts of others, and it is no one left behind, and not on my watch. Those are good mantras to have in life. You should improve each other, not disprove each other. And I say the criminal acts of others, they're doing criminal acts because they're really traumatized and they have spirit loss and spirit infusion. And I'm going to tell you right now, the people that run things, the state leaders, the city leaders, the county leaders, the continent leaders, the country leaders, they're the worst hosts on the planet. You know, I was busy working and I didn't have a lot of time to cook, but I liked holding the family events. And I was still asleep. You know, I was still trying to merge my dad's new wife with my mom. It just wasn't working, you know. So you just like, let's just all get along. You should be able to be here and this and that. And we should, because we're playing roles in each other's lives. But when you're asleep, you do that or you fight. And so I'm not a fighter, I'm a lover. I'm a peacemaker, just like you. Your true spirits are peacemaking. But when we held a family function, we all sat together and got to convene and talk. You know, even if the table was over here, we all ate at the same time. No one was fighting. We made sure we had food. We made sure we had drinks. We made sure we had coffee, you know, sodas, dessert. And no one was going to leave wasted, you know, driving drunk and this and that. You know, we want to make sure everybody was okay. And that's when I would see the true spirit of my spouse, because he was so traumatized. You know, he never drank during the day or smoked weed. And we started smoking weed early on. He was doing coke when I met him, and he was a mess. And I said, you got to start smoking weed, man. And we started growing it. But we were afraid our child would get taken from us, because, you know, that was a real threat of people being taken from you as parents. And so we weren't showing our true selves to our child. And we were also under the guise that she had to be in school, just like you are. We've really lost our power as people, as humans, as animals, as parents. And we are being criminalized for the acts of others. Then, you know, it comes down to that. People are committing crimes. Now we all have to go get a drug test, or we have to all go do this. We have to all go to connected in, you know, the court they're having to go to, or bail somebody out of jail, or this and that, this and that. You guys are the worst hosts. And it's proven when you watch the cop shows, they are just criminalizing people left and right. The one that really sticks to me, because I was a flight attendant, is the airport. They sit there and get these people, you get dragged to go places and spend money and do shit. You go to the airport and now your flight's canceled. So you're sitting at the bar having a drink. Now all of a sudden they're like, you're too intoxicated to fly. What do? They put you on TV. They actually put you people on TV. You're too intoxicated to fly now because we're terrible hosts. All we do is serve beer at this place and hard shit. No snacks, no coffee. There's places I've gone to bars. I'm like, can I have some coffee? And they're like, we don't have coffee. You're the worst host on the planet. People running businesses. You can't use our bathroom. We don't have snacks. We just have drinks. No, there's nothing. Nothing. They're the worst hosts on the planet. They don't have your back, so you take your stuff with you, whatever it is that rights your ship. If you want to go have a drink, or you want to go here, you want to go there. Just know everything's a weapon and can be used against you, okay? Everything. Got to know how to work with things. I want you shamans to stay strong, man. You stay strong, okay? We don't drink and drive. We don't do stupid shit. We do nothing to get arrested. Nothing. We're peacemakers. We unite people. And we clear up the confusion, okay? All right. There's also shows that are civil rights. There's a civil rights attorney that has this reality show, I guess you say. And he shows examples of how your civil rights have completely been disintegrated. You've lost your power. And they take these cops to task. And that's pretty good stuff out there because the cops are really crooked. Unfortunately, they're like, hey, you want a drink over here? You want to suck my dick? I'm kind of gay, but I'm not. I'm kind of closeted. No, I'm not. I'm not really into stuff. I'm going to be like, run the gyms. I'm run the jail. We're actually in jail. That's where we sleep. So the jails are the worst hosts on the planet. The businesses are the worst hosts on the planet. I was okay as a business owner because we didn't serve alcohol. We were doing casting sessions and auditions. I let us, the more the merrier for me. Even at my family functions, I wanted to invite who knew I knew. I don't care how eccentric they were. Come to my party, please, because we're not going to isolate you and just talk over here and over here, and then no one's communally talking. No, we're going to have a table and we're going to all fucking talk and laugh our ass off and talk story, it's called. The homes, you're the worst hosts on the planet. A lot of you are really bad homeowners. I was looking at how much it costs to move into an apartment. They want you to have 3 times the rent. 3 times the monthly rent. So you're making, $3,500 at Walmart. That's 40 hours a week. You're making $3,500 at Walmart. 369 and change, times 12. They want you to make over like $70,000 a year. Do you? You don't, do you? Are you enslaved in a company that enslaves people? No, there's some good people at Walmart, okay? Just like there's good people everywhere. Clock in with your customers. Quit clocking in with each other. It pisses us off. There's a civil rights case where the guy went into Walmart, got separated from his wife, and these realities are real, though. You're living your sun and moon, unfortunately, you're seeing it. And so he tried to pay for his stuff and his beer, and then for some reason they wouldn't let him have the beer. They're like, you're intoxicated. And he had dementia and had his own credit card. He got separated from his wife, and he kept trying to tell him, and they're like, are you drunk? What are you drinking? And he wouldn't answer him. He's really smart. And they ended up handcuffing him, putting him on the ground, major force on him, hurting him. He's like, my wife's in there. My wife's in there. We could call her. They're all laughing. They're laughing like a bunch of fucking idiots, these security guards. And they're like, we can stay him in jail. And they take him to jail, and it finally gets kind of cleared up. I hope you fucking get some money out of what just happened to you, sir. And the police are like, yeah, he was demented. They look like zealots. Like, it's disgusting, their behavior. I want to put out a shout out to quality over quantity. You can go all day to Walmart, or you can go to Stater Brothers or Food for Less or Ralph's, one of these smaller markets. So Food for Less, you're too fucking huge. It's disgusting, the real estate you take up. Stater Brothers is a lot better. It's easier to find stuff. The aisles are well marked. Prices are there. And it is quality over quantity. I can drive all day to Walmart and waste my gas, or I can go here and get quality over quantity. So you're wasting gas, energy, time, dealing with a big-ass store or a weird one where they don't even have produce. You guys are the worst hosts on the planet, the ones that think they're in charge, from reporters to people that think they own people and enslavement. Just because you have a company doesn't mean we have to work for you. We've really lost our power when it comes to places of employment. You know, I had a company, it was pretty fucked up. I was a casting director. We were doing a casting company. And even that company was fucked up. You know, back then we were paying people $12, $13, $14 an hour plus commission. And they want to do away with you having to report your tips because they want everything by commission. They want you to take your customers. And so when you're working on commission, you got to work with the people. You got to be good at customer service and customer satisfaction. Otherwise, you're not going to get tipped. Why should we tip you when you're a dickhead or you're raping people as a dishwasher or a server or a manager of a restaurant? Why should we share our tips with you? So just know this world is turning, you know, to customer service and commission. And they pay, you know, $4 an hour, but then you get commission or tips. So you work those tips, okay? You be talking with your customers. And that came down from Trump. This leads me into taxes, and taxes are a joke. And the IRS respects me, and I have friends there. They were respectful, you know, when I had a company. They teach you how to not pay taxes, so they're borrowing your money all year. You learn as companies how to everything carry through. You get a C Corp, or you get a sole proprietorship, or you get a LLC. And it's just a way to spend your money. You can have a Social Security, make money. You don't have to buy all this stupid shit that comes with owning a business. Take care of your customers. You won't have to worry about it. And the IRS, then you learn how to carry through any money you owe to taxes because you have this expense, this expense. Blah, blah, blah. So business owners aren't paying a lot of taxes. The poor aren't because they're not working, meaning like the real homeless and stuff like that. It's not your fault. And then the middle class is the one trying to do the right thing. You know, the W-2 people. They don't understand. You know, you put as many dependents as you can, and you put low takeout from your pay because you want that money year round. You know, I get a big tax check at the end of the year. $800. It took $1,000 from me. Okay. It's inflationary. So the IRS is being questioned about hiring people with guns. Even the Trump administration was questioning this, that they hired a bunch of people with guns during the Democratic revolt, they call it, with Joe Biden. And you're just a label. If you want to be labeled Democrat and Republican your whole life, go ahead. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. It's important you break up with your doctors. First responder care is important. You know, you should learn how to do first responder care, you know, from old-fashioned remedies to just having, you know, things available. It's frustrating because you shouldn't have to for people's stupidness. Now we're being criminalized for the acts of others as fire department and paramedics. And you see a lot of people aren't, they're not responding to calls because they're fixing things here. Get jobs in these areas as first responder care, this and that. And it's like a war, you know. You got to learn how to button people up. And you don't even have to do surgery on a lot of this, most of it, Break up with your doctors. They're the most unhealthiest people I've ever seen. Even if they look good, their staff doesn't. You'll see the carry through of what's going on. Unless you look like a fitness model and act like a fitness model, you're not our role models, doctors. You're big pharma and stuff like that. Go over the counter as much as possible. And, you know, from supplementing, I cured myself supplementing with micronutrients, from magnesium to a product called Tangy Tangerine you can buy on YouTube or Amazon. OsteoFX is another one I got. Plant-based protein powders. I'm more vegan now, pretty much. You know, 95% of my diet's vegan. I'm grateful, you know, if someone's making stuff, but I pretty much stick to my vegan route, and it's eating plant-based. But I cured myself before I woke up to the universe and how it works with supplementing with micronutrients. And I got rid of all my pain, arthritic pain. I was more living in the future, so I was getting, you know, freezing up, this and that. I wasn't depressed. Once again, you should improve each other, not disprove each other. My spouse and I are good role models of that, because when I met him, like I said, he was doing cocaine. He was pre-med at Santa Barbara. Hang on, I'm gonna take a beer. He had joined the Air Force before that. He wanted to be a pilot and work for Continental Airlines and marry a flight attendant. That was his role. That was his goal. And the recruiters lied about school. He thought he could go through school and finish up, but they had him on the plane right away. It was on-the-job training. You know, we get used to this, and then the on-the-job training was dangerous. He didn't, you know, probably feel prepared for him being a crew chief on a KC-135 right off the bat. They were fueling airplanes in flight. Here he was 17 years old. He was a KC-31. I'm a KC-31 crew chief for 35. And when he got himself honorably discharged. He started growing his hair, just doing things that were not regulation, and they kicked him out. And the plane ended up being blown up in Panama when he left. And so he wanted to be a photographer too. That was something he enjoyed doing. And he went to a fine arts school in Santa Barbara. But they make you take classes at the university, and he was pre-med. And I told you when I first married him, he was doing weird stuff to me. I didn't know what he was doing. It was pissing me off. And I'd wake up, I go, "You're killing me. You're doing something," you know, from drugging me. Like, I don't mean drugging, but he was taking my spirit. You know, I blamed it on him. And I was just like, "You got to smoke weed." And so we did. And he didn't impose his will at all. But we weren't doing it regular. We weren't during the week. We were really motivated. And we started hiking. He was a swimmer growing up. And his cardio is amazing because of it, and high altitude aware of Denver, Colorado. And I liked hiking, so I said, we got to get out in the desert and hike. And we did. We started hiking. We built a weight room. We started with a weight bench and some weights, free weights. And over years, we had the most beautiful gym. It was all Cybex equipment, which is rust proof and stuff like that. It's quality over quantity. We're Verdos. We like nice things. And we did improve each other. We got in the best health and best shape of our lives during our marriage. I got dragged away from my spouse when I woke up to the universe and God. I actually got dragged away by God. They didn't like how he was handling me. Going back to that girl I hit. Okay, so go to Caesar's Palace. He's like, "Hey, there's a mirror on the ceiling. Cool. We need to do that at home." I'm like, "Oh my God." And so, you know, we go home and he finds this heavy ass mirror, like gold embellished, you know, mirror, like, you know, weighs 200 pounds probably. He wants to, and now I'm muscle and eye candy, unfortunately. You know, there's a Sex and the City episode you can watch where Samantha and Jessica, whatever her name is, they go to this ranch home and they're excited to be there and all that. And then the farmer next door is like, hey, and the next thing I know, she's like, they're both having to like be the muscle and eye candy, like helping them, like really heavy boards, really heavy this. It's really funny. It's exactly how I felt. So I'm lifting this mirror up with my spouse, and we rested on our head. Someone said, yeah, that's common when you're doing drywall or this and that, you put stuff on your head. My neck had healed. All of a sudden my neck goes, I heard this crunch. And I was like, fuck, it just damaged my neck. That injury has not left me. Like, if I do moving or this and that, you know, I'm like, my neck hurts, you know. And it hurt me throughout the whole company when I was doing photo shoots, having to bend over this certain area or video camera work. It never went away. I'm better now. I've healed myself, but I did some recent moving. I'm kind of stiff, you know. And I realized this portal and these areas of our chakra or whatever, it's unresolved. So I'm connected to people that have neck injuries. I'm connected to people that have a neck injury from a mirror. I'm connected to people that were in a car accident. And we get in accidents because we're in a hurry to do something, usually something that doesn't serve us well, like going to this job at Dillard's. I worked there 1 year and I go, I'll never work another Christmas here. It was so depressing. And I saw the commission-based cosmetics counter and I wasn't interested. They were fighting. And, you know, that's where the money is. You know, everybody pushes you. That's the money. Go there. And I like cosmetics and stuff like that. But the women were definitely catfighting. And I was being stalked by an ex. It was just a weird vibe. And so I quit right before Christmas again. I worked there 1 year. We're in a hurry to get somewhere that doesn't serve us. That girl that I hit was going to work. She worked in that strip mall. And she was late, is what the download was. Now here it could be she just needed to go shopping for somebody, but she was a young girl. She was probably 17, 18, 16, 17, 18. And I was all of, 25 maybe. It was after the airlines. And we didn't see each other. And so we were in a hurry to get somewhere that didn't serve us. And most of you are too. It's called get-there-itis, and it's called dead doctor syndrome too. They call it that. They do. Because a lot of doctors think they're pilots and they buy planes. And they really liken it to doctors. And then you're not flying full on a lot because you're busy being a doctor. So you're not putting the hours that you need into flying and being safe. So get out of these realms. The grass isn't greener, and though it is for some, and if you're safe, you're safe, and always keep that in mind. All you have to do is open your eyes and look around. Am I safe? Yeah. All right. When you look at the old maps, you got to realize that old Mexico came all the way into the United States in the old maps. So the Mexicans are a blend of natives and Spanish. And they became the Mexican population. And then the whites came in and said, oh, we need to control things too because we're being overrun and we don't like it. And so they stood their ground and formed unions. And they didn't discriminate. You could be a union member as a Mexican or a Native American or a black person. But people took that, very politically incorrect and created this whole race war. But this was all old Mexico, and then it butted against New Mexico, which is where I was born. And everybody's important. We're all starlight. We've adapted and adopted. I look this way because of my experience and what's connected to me. You look the way you do because of what's connected to you. So it's how you act, not how you look. I can have fun with my look all day and look like a supermodel, and so can you. And I love the makeup artists. I do. I love them a lot. Men have their stupid fetishes, and stop wearing the pants as much as possible, but you can be like a fitness model. All right? All right. Peace out. We're not fighters, though. We're peacemakers. Toodaloo.